My name is Michael Thomas, and I'll be giving a speech on how to disassemble and reassemble the Mini-14 rifle. I've been in the Marine Corps for several years and go out target hunting every once in a while, and this rifle, the Mini-14, is one of my personal favorites. But first, I'm going to start off with a history lesson of the M14 rifle. The M14 was conceptually designed during the latter part of World War II because of the U.S. military wanted a lighter weapon with a detachable, higher capacity magazine, the ability to launch grenades, utilize a bipod, and have full auto capacity. After the M14 was phased out of mainstream service, it could not be sold to the public due to the perceived ability to convert it to full auto. Because of this, large quantities of unused M14 rifles were destroyed. Many rifles were sold to U.S. allies including Colombia, Estonia, Israel, Lithuania, Philippines, and Taiwan, just to name a few of the larger recipients. The M14 is still carried today by military snipers and special forces troops. This is a testament to the simplicity and the overall superior design of the M14 rifle. In lieu of this, though, the civilian counterpart was needed. The Mini-14 was introduced in 1972 by the company Ruger. It is derived from the rifle's cousin, the M14. The Mini-14 has proved popular with small game hunters, ranchers, law enforcement, security personnel, and target shooters. Accuracy for the stock Mini-14 is commonly in the range of 2 to 4 minutes of angle, which defined loosely means that at 100 yards the rifle will shoot in 2 to 4 inch circles. The Mini-14 at 6 pounds 6 ounces has a rugged and robust design which uses a simplified M1 Garand gas-operated rotating bolt mechanism. The M14 uses a short stroke piston similar to the M14 but with a fixed self-cleaning piston and moving cylinder. Which brings me into the disassembly of the Mini-14 rifle. The first thing one needs to do to disassemble this rifle is lock the firing pin to the rear. To do that, you have to cock the rifle. Simply grab the charging handle and pull it to the rear. Next, flip the rifle over, take a cylindrical object, much like a screwdriver, and pop the trigger guard out of its place. Once that's done, grab the trigger guard and pull straight up. This will remove the entire trigger assembly from the rifle. Next, flip the rifle back over and grab the rear side aperture and pull straight upward. This will allow the upper and lower receiver to be detached from one another. The lower receiver is simply a piece of wood, no moving parts, so this can be set aside. You now take the upper receiver, and to remove the spring, push it into the gas tube and pull it straight out of the rifle. This will allow you to take off the charging handle. The charging handle, simply push it back and apply a small upward force. This will allow the charging handle to come right off without very little inconvenience. The last and probably trickiest part of the upper receiver is the bolt. Just twist the bolt and it will come straight out of the chamber. The bolt is probably the most important part of this rifle because it contains the firing pin. Once the firing pin is engaged and the trigger is pulled, it hits the very back of a rifle cartridge. Once that's done, the bullet will be expelled and the pressure from the gas will cause the bolt to move backward, allowing another bullet to come up into the chamber and both pieces will slide forward, thus setting the rifle to be shot again. This is the basis for semi-automatic weapons. To put the rifle back together is simply taking it apart in reverse. Take the upper receiver and take the bolt and slide it back into the chamber, lining it up with the notches that are inside the chamber, and twist it until it goes in smooth. Next, take the charging handle and align it with the grooves on the side of the chamber as well, and make sure the bolt catches as well. Once you've done that, make sure it lines up with the actual gun and push it forward. Take the spring and put it back into the gas tube. This will allow you to be able to cock the gun once it's done. Without this spring, you won't be able to cock it and the gun will not be able to fire. Take the upper receiver and simply place it back onto the lower receiver. Flip the rifle over, take the trigger assembly and stick it back into it and lock it back into place. All you have to do to complete is pull the trigger and your gun rifle is set into safe. And that's it on assembling and disassembling the Mini-14 rifle.